Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Magic Mirror Podcast. I'm your co-host, as usual, 33 Elk, joined by our host, the Trinket Mage.
I lost my voice,
which is why I'm doing.
But it's good enough to podcast.
Which is why I'm doing the intro. And we also have our other co-host, Salubrious Snail.
I'm here and not horribly afflicted by the plague.
Regardless, we have an interesting video here today. We're going to be talking about mechanics that we want to see make a comeback. We'll also be ranking our other two co-hosts' options on a tier list and see who has the best opinions when it comes to mechanics that should return. Regardless, please do rank these yourself down below in the comments below. And we also have a sponsor that Healthier Trinket will read now.
This podcast is sponsored by Card Castle, the easy way to store your collection digitally. If you want to start scanning and sorting your cards today, click our link below to get 1 free month of premium access. Additionally, you can start scanning cards even faster by using CardBot. Link below. Thanks to Card Castle for sponsoring.
Okay, great. Thanks, Healthy Trinket. You can take the rest of this away.
What a great sponsor read.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. Very good job. I'm scared of hosting. Please take over again.
Oh, sure. Sorry.
I can take over if we want.
No, I got it. It sounds way worse than it is. Like, I'm fine. So we're going to be tier listing mechanics that we want to see come back. Isn't that crazy? We're starting with cumulative upkeep.
Ooh, all right.
Which is yours, right? Yeah.
Yes. See, I don't know that I strongly want cumulative upkeep to return.
Can you please explain to the audience what cumulative upkeep is?
Sure. Okay. So cumulative upkeep is a mechanic where a card gets age counters every turn. So it's like an upkeep trigger. At the start of your upkeep, it gets an age counter, and then you have to pay the cumulative upkeep cost times the number of age counters. So if it's like a red mana, you need to play a red mana, then 2 red mana, then 3 red mana for each subsequent turn. Some of them have like weird cumulative upkeep costs. So like Glacial Chasm has, the pay 2 life one, I think.
Yep.
And then a bunch of others just have other cumulative
There's
upkeep
like
costs.
Psychic Vortex, which is just like you draw a card on your upkeep.
So funny. Braid of Fire is a wild one that just adds a red on your upkeep. So you can do a whole lot of stuff with this. And there are mechanics that I want to see return more. However, this one, I feel almost offended on its behalf that it hasn't shown up more recently than it has. It got printed a lot in the 90s. There are a lot of cumulative upkeep cards in existence, and yet it hasn't really shown up in commander sets like a whole lot of other mechanics have. And I think there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with it. If you're looking at, as Alec mentioned, there's like Psychic Vortex that draws you a card. There's one from Cold Snap that is cumulative upkeep, put a +1/+1 counter on a creature an opponent controls. So it's just kind of this interesting mechanic. I think it's somewhat adjacent to like vanishing in some ways, in the sense that it is a way to make a permanent temporary, but it gives a lot more flexibility than that, in the sense that you can pay as long as you want to pay, or as long as the cost isn't too high for you. So there's kind of a push and pull. I think it's part of the reason why Mystic Remora doesn't feel as bad, at least the power levels I play, as Rhystic Study, is just that you do feel like there's kind of this negotiation between what the Mystic Remora player is paying and how long they want to keep it around. It kind of makes cards a little bit more interesting, lets you print cards that are maybe a little broken in terms of their effect, but the fact that they have this sort of limitation on them makes them more palatable. And I also just think it's old and iconic, and I want to see more of it. It was printed a whole bunch in the 90s, and then got a bunch more prints in Cold Snap, and I think that is a fine contender for Commander set reprints.
Okay, I like the cumulative upkeep cards that are like Psychic Vortex, where it's like it is a scaling threat that like gets better and better as the game goes on. I cannot stand like cumulative upkeep as mana downside, as in like the Mystic Remora example, where it's like, here's an above rate card. Also, we put cumulative upkeep on it. And the reason why I don't like it that much is it just makes you play less Magic the Gathering as a mechanic. Every single turn, you're like paying to keep your broken permanent around. You're not developing your game plan forward. And yeah, that's the trade-off. That's the downside of the card, I guess. But the downside of the card, meaning you don't play Magic, I feel is just always an unfun trade-off. And it makes people kind of just avoid these cards. Most of the time I see Mystic Remora stick around for 1, maybe 2 turns, just because people will want to get 1 or 2 cards or 1 to 2 turns of card draw off of it. And then they're done paying for it. Like if anything, it's like a sorcery that draws you like 3 cards by your next turn. Like that's the way I see Mystic Remora played. And then there's like next to no other cumulative upkeep cards besides Glacial Chasm, but that you just cheat the cumulative upkeep on that card, right? I'm bringing it back every turn with like a land rebuy effect or something stupid. It's really not hard to loop Glacial Chasm at all. Basically, long story short, I don't like that it makes you not play Magic the Gathering as the downside, which is just like, why do I not want to play Magic? Versus I like it as a scaling threat. So like, what about a 3-drop Hydra that like, for each age counter on it, it like got a new keyword. Like if it has an odd, or you can do like a Homerid. Oh, like the old Tide mechanic where you'd put like Tide counters or remove Tide counters. And you had a Homerid that like, it can't be blocked as long as it has an even number of counters. But if it has an odd number, then it gets like fly, or not flying, but like some other stupid mechanic. Like it draws a card and you tap it. And it's like a Sab-Sun kind of ebb and flow deal. Like
there's cool stuff you can do with it.
Exactly. So I like the cool stuff you can do with this mechanic, putting a counter every turn versus, or like, you know, and like measuring something that scales over time versus like it being a cost. I really just don't think the cost has anywhere to go in a interesting gameplay.
The cost is a little old timey. Like it is very much like they were playing less Magic per Magic in the 90s, if you didn't know.
Yeah, that is true. And also you paid on your upkeep, which is worse than like you notice new cards now, like Ripples of Undeath are mentioning your first main phases when you get to pay mana to get a card back from it after you mill. The reason why it's on beginning main phase now is because you get to look at what you draw for turn. Do I want to play this? Or do I want to get the card advantage off Ripples of Undeath or whatever, right? The fact that it's on your upkeep too is just so gnarly. It's just, I cannot justify any card having a cumulative upkeep cost to it.
I think the non-mana costs are more interesting than the mana costs, but I still would love to see them both come back a little bit. Not a huge resurgence, not like a massive main set presence, but I want a little taste of the 90s.
Yeah, I agree with that because the ones that cost mana are just not interesting. If it's a broken card, you flicker it or use like Hex Parasite to remove the age counters, and then you just pay for it once, remove the counters, and you just keep your broken card in play. Or alternatively, if it's a non-mana cost, it's a lot more interesting. So the one that puts counters on your opponent's creature is pretty cool. And then if you're like a politics deck, you can actually leverage that.
Oh, Generous Patron, my beloved.
Yeah, like that. But I was thinking like, was a Sheltering Ancient is a cool card. I want to see more of that, but I'm not like that jazzed about cumulative upkeep. So I would put it in the I wouldn't mind category.
I agree. I wouldn't mind this as well with you. All right. I'm going to talk about Transmute. Transmute is a mechanic that lets you discard the card to search for a card with a similar mana value. So, for example, Muddle the Mixture has Transmute 1 blue to find another card with mana value 2, and then it's just a blue counter target instant or sorcery spell, right? So it's a counter spell, but you can also discard it to find any 2-drop in your deck. What I like about Transmute a lot is it is a narrow tutor that also encourages toolbox-based deck building. Of course, Toolbox Boy loves this. And on top of this, there's discard synergy. I really like this with Ghost of Ramirez de Pietro, where you could attack with Ramirez, it does combat damage to a player, you return a card you discarded this turn. That could be a card you transmuted that turn, which is very interesting. I do have a small criticism of the transmute mechanic as we've seen it so far. And the reason why I want to see it return is because I do believe there is design space here. We have the Mayhem mechanic and Madness. It would be so cool to have a transmute card that also has Madness attached to it. Number 2, we've only seen transmute for 1 black, right? It's always been 3 mana to transmute something. I think it would be very interesting if we got like a really wacky mana value card with like a lower transmute cost. Why is the stupid 9-drop Kraken still transmute 3? That makes no goddamn sense to me.
Think about it. It's a more expensive card, so it's more powerful. So it makes sense that it costs more, right? Sorry, continue.
Yeah, but I would love to see transmute cards that are like that play with the transmute cost of it. And then finally for transmute, I do have a small criticism in that a lot of transmute cards are just kind of there for the transmute ability. I would love to see a lot more cards with transmute where it's actually kind of a choice. Muddle the Mixture is the perfect example of this. Like having a counter spell is very valuable, but so is maybe having that 2-drop. But you get things like Shred Memory, which is like a really bad card. You can just like stack someone's library, I think it is, right? Or that's Demir Machinations. I'm thinking Shred Memory is the one that exiles 4 cards from a graveyard. Like I would almost always transmute that thing unless I'm like in a super Graveyard Matters matchup. Even then I'm like, wow, that is really bad grave hate.
Yeah. I definitely agree that some of the transmute cards have the problem that they just are really bad. Like Clutch of the Undercity is a 4-mana bounce spell. There are a lot of others that are just not great. In my decks, I only play the 2 that are actually that I like a lot, which are Perplex and Muddle the Mixture. Perplex is probably my favorite Magic card of all time because it's a 3 on paper. The counterspell part of it is not that great, but the fact that it's a counterspell or a decently costed tutor, I think makes it great. And I love to see people ponder the question of whether to discard their hand, how much they like their spell.
Yeah, I mean, I'm even a fan of Dimir Houseguard, which is just a sack outlet that protects itself. Like, it is expensive for something that does that, but it's only like 1 mana more than like a Yahenni, which is very similar. I'm a fan anyway of Transmute. I kind of like the flexibility it gives to cards.
I like it as a, like, in theory, but I feel like in practice, I'm never super happy with the Transmute card. It's really hard to strike that balance between being a relevant playable card and being only in your deck because it's a tutor. And the problem is if you make the card on rate, it's going to be way stronger than other options because it's also a tutor. But if you make it below rate, then it's just a tutor and it's self-defeating. I don't know. I like the mechanic. I like many Transmute cards. I love Perplex, but a lot of them are just so, like, they're just bad tutors or slow tutors effectively, and they have no more use than that. So I'd like it to come back, but I'm not like super excited about it,
So here's a question. What rate of casting the card would it have to be for you to consider a card a success? Like 40%, 30%, 20%?
That's a tough question. I mean, like, ideally in a like magical Christmas land, 50-50. Half the time you draw the card, you use it. Half the time you're like, it's tutor time. Like, if it was like a real coin flip, that'd be pretty sweet.
That's where I feel Perplex is about.
Yeah.
There's a lot of board states where I'm happy to pay 6 mana for a Toxic Deluge. And then the other half of the times, like, I want to counter your thing.
I think Perplex and Muddle are like at that rate. I just find that it's difficult otherwise.
Yeah, like in my mind, if Transmute made a comeback, I would love to see something like it's a 2 mana bad kill spell. It destroys a creature with mana value 2 or less for 2 mana for 1 and a black. And then you can transmute it for 1 black. And then it has madness for 1 black. Something cute like that. So you can 4 mana kill a Drannith Magistrate and also tutor something. Or like a 2-drop rather. Or you can just discard it, pay 1 black, kill the Drannith Magistrate. Or you can kill the Drannith Magistrate for 2 mana. Right? Like, you have that modality.
See, those feel like neat cards, and I wouldn't mind them being there, but I'm not like jumping for joy going, Yahoo, excited about such a card.
Snail, where do you land?
Oh, I am jumping for joy all day long for Transmute.
So we're between the top 2. I guess, do we just lean up because the tiebreaker?
I think we round up.
Yeah.
I think we round up because we're always, the person promoting the card is the one who's also voting it up. Sorry, audience. You're watching logistics in real time.
Okay, it is my turn. We're doing Miracle. I picked this for discussion reasons, but I do like it, so I don't know.
Okay, great.
So Miracle is a mechanic. If it's on the top of your deck and it is the first card you draw that turn, not necessarily yours, then you get to cast the spell at instant speed for a reduced cost. This mechanic is really cool. I know it is a bit clunky. Like, sometimes you draw and you put it in your hand and you're like, oh, that's a miracle. I've got to reveal it. I get it. There's some issues, but we are getting more and more scrying and surveilling synergies, and all of that works so well with Miracle, so it plays well with other mechanics that they've been promoting and pushing over the years. So Miracle is just getting more valuable, and there's only 18 Miracle cards total. So, I mean, I feel like we could use a few more, and they're pretty sweet.
I love Miracle so much. It's definitely in like my top 5 mechanics. Miracle, I think what I love about it so much is 1, breaking timing restrictions. You feel like a god when you opt into a terminus on your opponent's turn. 2, the wow factor. If you're not like brainstorming these things on top of your library, which you are, but like drawing a Miracle naturally is just so funny. The number of times I've drawn a Temporal Mastery and I've just gone, well, I'm taking an extra turn now, I guess. Hilarious. It's so much fun. So that spontaneity I really appreciate. 3, the top deck manipulation. I love it when the top card of my library is another card in my hand. That is super interesting play patterns and stuff. I just love it to death. This reminds me a lot of like a card like River Song. It has a mechanic very similar to Lantern of Undersight, which says you draw cards from the bottom of your library instead of the top. And it's super cool to be able to like stack your library and do weird stuff to like make like a bonus hand somewhere. And just being able to top deck manipulate is one of the most fun and interesting things to do in Magic. So I'm all for Miracle. I love this mechanic so much.
I'm hopping in as the hater here. I don't think it's very interesting as a mechanic. I think if you are having it happen naturally, then there's like a level of excitement to it. So I can respect that. I think, if there's some miracle cards in a limited environment, that could be fun. I don't know. But it's just, it's a discount method that is kind of clunky. And when you're setting it up with top of library manipulation, I don't know, it's fine, but there's nothing really that exciting about it. It's still a little bit clunky feeling, and I think there are much more interesting things you can do with top of library. I think of cards that reveal and care about the cost of a thing, do something related to that, as being much more interesting than Miracle. So I don't know. I don't really care for it personally. I wouldn't hate it if it came back. I don't think it's like horrible or anything, but it doesn't do much for me personally.
I want to pitch a couple more things about Miracle real quick. One, it lets you cast cards of a mana value for a different cost, which does affect things that care about mana values. Additionally, right now, all of the Miracle costs are just less mana, but what if it was different than that? There's still design space. So instead of it being maybe a 5-drop normally, and then the Miracle cost is 10 life or something, It doesn't just have to be a mana reduction. It could completely warp the cost.
I mean, that
doesn't change your mind.
I mean, that's design space that exists, but I can't say it's a particularly interesting design space. Like you're still just doing another form of,
I
cost
really want
reduction
more miracle creatures, though. It's so funny. I love those miracle creatures so much because they work really well with Witch's Clinic, or not Witch's Clinic, sorry, Witch's Cottage and Mortuary Mire. Like, I like when these top deck manipulation cards matter so much more than just like I'm rebuying a thing I've already done versus just like I'm rebuying a thing I've already done and I'm miracling it. Like I'm also getting that value as well, which is a lot of fun.
The put back on top of library cards feel more interesting with Miracle than like a top. So I'll definitely,
I agree. I hate top. I hate top in Miracle decks actually in Commander. It makes sense in 60 card formats where you have play sets of Miracle cards, but in Commander, I'd almost always prefer like a Scroll Rack and like a Brainstorm, Brain Surge, Jace even.
I mean, for vibes reasons, I don't give a fuck about power level.
Oh, I get what you mean. But also damn, I really hate top. Like top is just so boring.
Yeah. Top is just, I mean, it's
and
not
bad.
I
don't even think top's that good with miracles in Commander.
It does let you play more Magic if you think about it.
That is true.
Something I'm just noticing, all the miracle cards do the same thing, but it would be kind of neat if the miracle cost is not a mana discount at all. It just does an additional thing. Or does the thing more?
I'm imagining, imagine a Solitude, like a 4-man white creature. Well, Miracle lets you break timing restrictions.
Yeah, I understand.
So, imagine a Ravenous Chupacabra that is just like, it's like a 5-mana Ravenous Chupacabra. But if you Miracle it, it destroys like 2 target creatures or 3 target creatures instead of 1. But it's the same cost when you Miracle.
You telling me we can turn Miracle into a kicker type ability?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying like it would be cool.
I get that.
Where would you rank this, Alex?
In the middle category. I don't feel
we don't have a middle. We don't believe in middles here.
Yeah, we've abolished the middle category.
3 categories?
We have 4.
We have 4.
Oh. Let's go lower middle.
I would put it in more, please. So I wouldn't mind is what we average to.
Sounds good.
All right, Alex, you're up.
I am talking about Renowned. All right. So this was a mechanic. It was only in Origins, and I think they've done like a sprinkle of mechanics since. But I will read the one whose art is what I chose, which is Honored Hierarch. So Honored Hierarch is a 1 green for a 1/1 Renown 1. Renown is when the creature deals combat damage to a player. If it isn't renowned, it gets that many +1/+1 counters and becomes renowned. And then as long as Honored Hierarch is renowned, it has vigilance and tap. Add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Renowned is very much not really an EDH mechanic, I think. And I think that's part of why I like it. It is very much a 60 card tempo mechanic. You get a creature down early, you push in with it, and then you have some reward if you can, connect with it. And I think it's kind of fun because it's almost like a little sub game since it's a thing that can only happen once. You play a renowned creature and then you kind of challenge your opponent to whether or not you can get in with it. None of the renowned creatures that have been printed have super crazy rewards. I think the best one is probably the one that searches your library for an equipment, if I recall right. But I think it's just kind of fun as a mechanic that creates this little sub game. I think it's kind of similar with toxic as well. With the can you get your opponent to 3 toxic counters, poison counters? I think that can be kind of fun as well. But yeah, any mechanic that gives a card some depth mechanically without requiring a bajillion words on it, I think is a very good mechanic, and Renown fits into that for me.
I feel like my major gripe with Renowned is if you look at something like IR's Oathsworn, I feel like this is doing Renowned a lot more interestingly because, and it's also like it has the monstrosity problem where like, hang on, sorry, IR's Oathsworn, Menace, whenever it deals combat damage to a player, if it has fewer than 4 counters on it, you put a counter on it. Then if it has exactly 4, search your library for a card, put it in your hand, then shuffle. So it demonic tutors after you've hit someone 4 times. But here with IR's Oathsworn, you can manipulate the counters on it. You can remove the 4th counter from it and then hit someone and then remove the 4th counter from it and then hit someone, right? And then do a tutor every turn. That's hilarious. It's really bad, but it's hilarious. This like leads me into like Miglaw's Maze Crusher from All Will Be One. This is a giant Phyrexian beast for 3 mana. It's a 4/4. And it enters with 5 oil counters. And you can remove oil counters from it to do like 3 separate abilities. And this is something that Renown misses for me. Is like, I wish we had a Renowned 3 creature. It was like a dragon. And I could pay 1 mana and remove a counter from it to deal 2 damage to any target. Or I can remove 2 mana and remove 2 Renowned counters from it. And then, destroy target artifact. And then it has some weird third mode or whatever. That would be so much more interesting of a mechanic to me if we could like manipulate the counters. But no, I can't do that because it's already Renowned. Like once it becomes Renowned, it's Renowned, even if you remove the counters from it. So the fact that I can't engage in counter manipulation on top of the Renowned makes me like really just not like this mechanic at all.
Consider Flicker.
True, I guess, but also
I like that you can't cheese it as well because it means we can push the power of the Renowned a lot higher because you can't like break it as easily. So we can have like a like a pretty powerful like 5/5 with Menace, Renowned 15. Like who cares? Because it's really hard to cheese and mess with. You can just make it powerful, and then it's still pretty fair because it's not really a commander mechanic. You still got to connect. You have to like it funnels you into a fair pathway that is interactable. It is blockable. It is understandable. And because of that, you can crank up the power, which I think makes it something I'm actually a lot more excited about.
I just don't know if I can agree, especially when we already get cards like IR's Oathsworn, which we can manipulate the counters of. I don't know.
See, but IR's Oathsworn, I don't know, like it feeds more into the synergy, but I think the base card, if you consider it without counter manipulation, is less interesting than Renowned is. So I think you really have to look at it from a, how can I optimally break this in commander mindset to think that IR's Oathsworn is more interesting than Renowned, which is not necessarily the mindset I'm tackling this with. I just want to see it. And I think it would be kind of funny to see Renowned cards that are powerful enough that people would consider trying to use them in commander.
I agree.
Where I do like Renowned cards, and we already got one of these, it's Constable of the Realm, where it has Renowned and then it has like one of those triggers where like whenever one or more counters are put on it, do a thing. That's where I kind of like Renowned because then you can start like proliferating the counters or Luminarch aspiranting onto the thing and then you get the trigger again. I just don't like it when my cards are like one and done, sort of cards. Like I like the Equipment Tutor one, but it's because I'm probably running that in a Sunforger deck, so I can start infinitely looping that Sunforger or something stupid, right? So I don't know. I really like it when my cards can contribute to some greater plan, which Renowned really doesn't do a lot.
I think Constable is definitely a fun design, and it's pairing Renown with a form of scaling, I think is kind of cool. So that design I definitely would not mind seeing more of, in addition to my more 60 card minded design, I suppose.
Anyway, I'm locking in I Would Mind.
You're locking in I Would Mind. I'm locking in more please because I actually really like Renowned, which we've averaged to I Wouldn't Mind yet again.
Okay. I'm going to be talking about 2 mechanics here, but they're very similar. I think the audience will agree. I'm going to be talking about A, channel lands, and also B, MDFC lands specifically, not the MDFC cards in general, but just lands specifically. I really like what these have done for Magic the Gathering. I think the first round of channel lands was a miss. I think they generally are very too strong or they're too weak. Like so Kenzin, for example, is just like, it does nothing. It's okay in like a battalion, like Boros deck, I guess. But generally speaking, they're too free to run in Commander. I would like channel lands that enter tapped, for instance, right? Stuff like this, or like channel lands that like have a shock or a bolt cost, something similar to the MDFC lands that we got in Modern Horizons 3. But MDFCs really have been interesting to brew with. I think that you can strike a really good balance. I think some of my favorite MDFC lands are ones that are kind of narrow in their application. Something that comes to mind like this is Pinnacle Monk. It's a prowess creature and it brings back an instant or sorcery from a graveyard. Like, I'm not really that happy putting that card in most of my decks. Like, I think I would rather have a mountain most of the time, unless I'm doing ephemerate loop stuff with it, or I'm like an instant and sorcery heavy Boros deck, right? Something like a Quintorius might be, something like that. Or like, like running Flame Scroll Celebrant, all this random weird Boros stuff that we got from Strixhaven. So I like it when they're kind of niche like that, but still have a land on the backside, because it makes them feel not as free, like something like a Valakut Awakening would be, right? But yeah, I like it when my lands are also spells. I feel like it's super interesting to like pick and choose what tap lands you're running, and being able to pick some of them to be spells is very cool.
Yeah, I would love to see a more balanced cycle of channel lands that doesn't, especially like the green one. Very, very high quality, commands a very high price tag. In general, though, I think more flexibility between lands and non-lands is great. And I think it is great because the mana system of Magic the Gathering is not ideal in a lot of ways. So any ways you can make it more easy to put together a mana base, make it more easy to balance lands and non-lands to reduce screw, ways you can not necessarily color fix more easily, but having more options with how you can color fix, even if your deck isn't running a lot of super normal options. Yeah, I think more of this is always good. And, I like channel, I like MDFCs, I like land cycling, all that for sure.
I don't like these. My problem is I actually really like the sort of opportunity cost of lands in Magic. The way the system works, lands not being spells is, I think, a cool, unique thing that Magic does that a lot of other games try to quote unquote fix. And I think the fixed version of them, after having played many of these different games, is just not interesting. And I know that it's not the same as it is in other games where you get set amount of mana, or like Flesh and Blood, everything can produce mana or be a spell. But I kind of like that having lands, lots of lands, has this like drawback. And I kind of wish that there were more reasons in casual EDH to actually play basics and lands in general. And I feel like we're just going to see more of these over time, and eventually like every land will be a spell. And we're pretty close to that, actually. We have a lot of utility lands. And I don't know. On one hand, I understand the simplicity and like making it easier, yada, yada, but it's just not something I'm like particularly interested in having all of my lands be spells. I don't want to see more of this.
I definitely understand that from like a game theory or like a statistical perspective. Like, I think it is more interesting in principle if people are kind of weighing these pros and cons of deck building decisions. I think if people are engaging with the game on that higher level, that's a really good thing. And I think it speaks well to Magic in some ways that it can be engaged with on that higher level. But at the same time, I think a lot of people aren't looking to do that in Commander. So that's why I end up on the more plays end of things.
I agree. And also there is a trade-off, especially if these are like the original pass that we got from Zendikar, where they are just tap lands on the back, monocolor tap lands on the back. Like, that is a significant choice you are making to include a tap land like that in your deck. For example, in my Cormella list, I'm the joke with my Cormella deck, every time I like do a decent game with it, I'm increasing the mana value in some way until it stops working. I run Blood-Soaked Insight, which is a Rakdos tap land on the back, and then on the front it's a 7-drop sorcery.
I love that card.
I have no synergy with Blood-Soaked Insight in this deck besides the fact that it's like a 7-drop for Keen Duelist instead of like a dual land. I would not be running Blood-Soaked Insight if I wasn't doing this like weird restriction on myself, right? So I don't necessarily think these are as free as people make them out to be, and that's why I really emphasize that. Like, I wish if we were going forward with this, I would like design to be, a lot more wary of these bolt land options, and also make them less generic, like the Fel the Profanes of the world, and make them a lot more like the Pinnacle Monks and whatnot.
Yeah, I think you have to be really wary about the power level of these cards. Like the red channel land from Neon Dynasty isn't crazy. It makes like two 1/1s without even flying. Like, it sucks.
Yeah, Soken-san.
But Beseiju is like this insane magic card. It's not even casting a spell. Like, it breaks the game. You can't like interact with it.
I fully lock in Beseiju as a design mistake. Like, I am not here batting for Beseiju. Please do not hear that, listeners. But simultaneously, I think the concept's there.
Look, I love Beseju. It's literally the background of my desktop. But I don't know. These are oftentimes design mistakes when they're good. I would put this in the God please no category.
I guess I'm more pleased, so I don't know where that has us end up.
Oh, we round up, right?
Yep.
Sure. I wouldn't mind. Very dominant here.
All right. Well, I picked a crappier mechanic, so maybe we'll get some different opinions here.
All right.
Okay, I want to talk about prototype. A lot of people probably forgot about this mechanic because there's 20 cards and it's from one set. Prototype is, I'll use Cradle Clear Cutter as an example. It is a 6-mana artifact creature golem. It is a 3/6. It can tap to add green equal to its power, but with Prototype, it has an alternative casting cost. You can cast it for 2 and a green and make it a 1/3. So then it's like a 3-mana mana dork as opposed to a 6-mana make triple green super dork. So a lot of times these play with the power of the card. So Arcane Proxy is probably one of the best ones. It's a 7-mana 4/3, enters the battlefield. You exile an instant or sorcery with mana value less than or equal to its power from your graveyard, and you copy it and cast it for free. But you can cast it for blue 1 as a 2/1. So you can cast it and cheat a cheap spell into play, or late game, cast it and cheat a bigger spell into play. You can also flicker them to get to the original power and toughness of it, which is kind of neat. They're good early game and late game. It's flexible and convenient for casual EDH purposes. I think it's neat, and there's a lot more design space you can do with this mechanic.
Yeah, I would like, okay, here's my thing with Prototype. I like the mechanic. I like anything that plays with the power and toughness of a creature, and then, there's like modality there. I don't like how heavily tied to artifacts this mechanic is. That's my major gripe with it. I wish that we could see this mechanic. It's so heavily flavored out of artifacts, but I think there is like a window someday where you can be like, the Simic mechanic is Prototype, and then you have like these like smaller prototype versions of their like biological experiments. Like that could be fun.
Yeah, or like the Thralls, right? Like Edrixar.
Thralls
could be prototypes. Yeah. It doesn't have to be an artifact mechanic. It just happens to be.
Yeah. So I can see some windows where this isn't super heavily tied to artifacts, which I kind of appreciate. So then what we have is just like pure modality. It's tough because unlike Miracle and these other things where we could like be like, oh, but it could cost more in the prototype. I'm pretty sure there isn't a prototype that costs more than the actual mana value of the card. And I don't think you can. Really, I don't think the wiggle room's there for this.
No,
one.
you could.
Which
you have it be like a lost knowledge thing. So the original one, the prototype, is the ancient Thran technology. It's way stronger, and then the actual main cost one is like a bad recreation of it.
Okay, that's kind of cute. All right, I see it now. I wouldn't mind this mechanic coming back. That's where I'm logging it in.
So have you considered this mechanic is a plot from Big Color Identity trying to take artifacts away from the people? In seriousness though, honestly, the name of this mechanic alone pushes it toward passable for me just because I think it's kind of clever. Like you've got this big cool guy and then you can, put together this prototype of it that is colored and is, not quite the full thing, but ooh, that's kind of cool. You got to do a little bit of research with your mana. I don't know. I think it's kind of neat. It doesn't like rock my world. It's not super crazy cool or anything. It's kind of just like another kicker thing, but I don't mind it. It's kind of unique.
It's the opposite of kicker. You pay less for less.
True.
Is this just I wouldn't mind for both of you?
Yeah.
All right, Alex, you're up.
I think you guys are going to agree on this one. Exert. Let's talk about Exert. So Exert is a mechanic where when a creature attacks, typically when a creature attacks, you can exert it to do an additional effect. So let's pull up Glorybringer. It's like when it attacks, you can exert it to deal 4 damage to a creature.
To a non-dragon creature even.
To a non-dragon creature, yes. Just to make those Glorybringer mirrors less swingy.
Yeah, they didn't want your Glorybringer to be...
Which there were a lot of.
Orcish Bowmaster should have said to a non-orc creature.
Yeah.
So that we can't Bowmaster your Bowmaster.
No, 2016 Wizards was cooking correctly with that one because that was a really good creature in Standard. Okay, anyway, this is a tangent. But you can exert it to deal 4 damage to a non-dragon thing, and if you do, it does not untap during next untap step. So it's kind of like it has a stun counter put on this. And I will say here that I do not need this to come back with the word exert on it. I think you can do this perfectly well with stun counters. You can say when this attacks, you may do X. If you do put a stun counter on it, I think that works just fine. And I am kind of shocked they haven't done that, just because I think this is a very kind of fun, clever, simple way to design a card. Exert, the phrase, kind of says it all of what this card does. You know, your guy can do the normal thing and, you know, be available the next turn, or they could do the really tiring thing, put in a little bit of extra effort, and then they're not available. I think it's just very simple. And it also leads to some interesting decision making where you go, okay, what's next turn going to look like without this creature? You know, I get to do this thing with it, but what am I going to do next turn? And then is that worth it? I think there's a lot of interesting decision making you can do with it. And so I would love to see this either in the form of exert coming back or in the form of stun counters being used more creatively on your own creatures.
I love exert. Like, finally, vigilance is a good word on a card, like, or to give a creature, you know. If you put vigilance on your glory bringer, it can just fire breathe every single turn, which is hilarious. I really like, I think one of my favorite exert cards is the Angel of Condemnation, which has 2 modes. It is it's a 4 mana 3/3 angel with flying. And the first mode is that you can pay 2 and a white to flicker something. You exile something, it returns on the next end step. So you can protect something, you can flicker an opponent's creature. But the second mode is an Oblivion Ring. It puts it under the Angel of Condemnation until it leaves the battlefield. And then you have to exert her to do that, which is just so cool to have this modality between, like, am I flickering your threat so you don't attack me this turn? Or am I permanently getting rid of it until my angel leaves? And then you have something like a Drum Bellow where you untap her. Oh my God, it's so cool. Arena of Glory is an exert card we got relatively recently in Modern Horizons. Like, I like the choices here. Like, you can just tap Arena as a red land, or you can tap it as a haste giving land. So I really like especially when these cards have that normal mode and then advanced mode. And that is something I really want to encourage, is when these just cards have more options, but they're still there's a decision to be made between the two. So I'm going to say more please on exert.
I'm kind of lukewarm on exert. I think it's really cool with tap abilities. I agree with you there. I find when it's on a creature that just has to attack to exert, what happens is it's either a creature that you basically just always exert and you just use it every other turn, or it's like not playable.
What do you mean? I always use my Combat Celebrant as a 4/1.
Yeah.
I don't do anything else with that card.
Yeah. And if the exert ability, like Combat Celebrant, for example, great example, thank you, Elk, is like a really, really powerful effect. So then it's like a removal magnet. When I compare this to Renowned, if the Renowned ability is really strong, I still don't have to remove it immediately because I have time to try and block it, figure out what I'm doing. And then if you sneak it past my stuff and then hit me, and then it gets big with Renowned, then it's a threat that I have to like interact with it. Whereas Combat Celebrant is like you play it and you either give it haste and you combo or whatever, or I have to blow it up, otherwise you're going to kill me next turn. And like those are my only 2 options. So I feel like in terms of like balancing and playing, exert leads to more removal checks as opposed to Renowned. So I would prefer to see Renowned come back over exert. And they occupy a similar space in my mind. Although I do agree there's more design space with exert on a land or even an artifact with a tap ability. Like that's cool. I'm just not super jazzed about it, but I don't hate it. So I would put it in the I would mind category.
I definitely get that on Combat Celebrant specifically, because I think extra combat starting from a 3 mana card is definitely quite potent. A lot of them I think are designed around 20 health formats, so they do look a lot worse in EDH. Like I can clearly remember playing a Hour of Revelation or Hour of Devastation limited event and being like, is that worth losing 2 damage or losing 3 damage? And it being an actual decision. But definitely in EDH, I think it's a little bit less so. I think there's still some interesting decisions you can make, but especially with like a land.
I played a game against patrons, and one of my patrons was building, he had like a $5 party deck, and he had Gustwalker, which has exert. It gains +1/+1 and flying until end of turn.
That card is so good in limited.
In Commander, much less good, but it was very funny to see it.
Yeah, that card was a menace in limited, but it is so mediocre. in EDH.
So we've averaged I wouldn't mind yet again.
Oh, yeah.
I guess so. Well, I'm sorry to see that this tier list is actually probably worthless. But that's pretty cool.
No, we get to put tier list
worst.
in the thumbnail and title.
True.
Yeah.
And people can rest their eyes on this fucking shitty wall. It's this massive I wouldn't mind road.
Instead of seeing
I wouldn't
the
mind.
beautiful mirror that Brenda made for the podcast.
Yes.
Oh.
Oh, I'm up. I am picking Secret Council. So Secret Council is will of the council, but instead of everybody voting in turn order, everybody votes secretly and it's revealed at once. So I prefer this over will of the council because with will of the council, there's a lot more kind of politicsy bullying you can sort of do, where if somebody has, especially if you're last in turn order after voting, if people have already voted, you're just outvoted and it doesn't matter. It makes your vote feel worthless. Whereas with this, you don't really know what's going to happen until people reveal. So I think Secret Council is a bit more fun. Yeah, I think voting is cool. We don't really have a voting commander. I know Tivit exists, but that is a combo commander.
Yeah.
Doesn't quite exactly count. I want an actual commander. I know there's Cyrodiil the Shipwright, which is a neat card. I like that commander. Elrond is whatever. Not very interesting. I want more of this. I need more of this mechanic. It's so cool. It's perfect for commander.
I really just like fucking hate this mechanic. And it's not even like on design, design wise on paper.
That's because you can't blink it.
Yes, you can. Cyrodiil, you can blink. What do you
Sure,
mean?
that's fair. That's fair.
But anyway, like the reason on paper, the design's really cool. Like everyone secretly votes and then reveals and then, oh my gosh, mob verdict. Oh my gosh, look at the board wipe that just happened on that one guy. He got plague winded. Okay. Yeah, great. Okay. I rebuy mob verdict. All right, everyone, we're going to have to secretly vote again. Get your notepads ready again. Like it is so annoying. This mechanic. It's annoying. Everyone grab a die and pick a number. And then this number means this one and this one means this one. It's like, it's so time consuming and so annoying. I really just don't like how it actually plays.
I agree with that, but I want to counter a little bit. So there are other mechanics that are annoying like this, the dungeon ones, right? Because if I don't know what the dungeon is and I hit you and get the initiative, I have to Google it or whatever. But for most of the ones that are two options, you're going to have a D6 on you. And then you just say evens is the yes, odds are no. And then you cover your dice, you put it down, and then you go. And if it's anything more than that, I would recommend you have some sort of plan for how the voting is going to go. Don't just randomly put these in your decks. And that does require an extra step, but it's not that crazy.
This requires an extra step. And so does this other awful mechanic that I hope we never see again. Like I don't think that's a really good justification for it is the only thing.
No, but the other awful mechanic requires like a really complicated thing. This requires a player to have a dice.
Yeah, so that I'm sympathetic to, and that's the extent of how it should be. I don't like Secret Council, each player votes for a player. That's annoying as hell in my mind. Because it's like, oh, did you mean like this? Like, okay, I'm 1, you're 2, 3, 4. Okay, great. Oh wait, no, I thought this one was this one. And it's like, I don't know. There's like, there's openings for cheating. It's weird. Not like anyone would cheat in Commander, but like this is such a clunky mechanic where I probably would mind.
It's 1, 2, 3, 4. I start by pointing at myself. I'm 1. That's 2. That's 3. That's 4. It's not that crazy to figure out.
Dude, just lightning bolt me. I don't know. Like this is like peak Mario Party Commander design where it's just like, why are we doing
It's
this?
casual commander. That's why we're doing it.
I don't mind the Mario Party Commander design. I don't know that I'm like desperate to see more of this, but it's kind of funny. I think having a little bit of it is fine, and I think I would be okay with having a little more of it, especially if they come with some creative designs. So I don't mind this too much.
I would mind if they made a pre-con about this. I would mind a lot. It sounds like very annoying to play against.
We have rounded up to I wouldn't mind yet again. There's only 5 of these in existence for Secret Council, by the way. There's totally room for more.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I agree with that. There's definitely room for more. Please don't make it a pre-con. I am hands and knees begging Wizards of the Coast not to do that. Okay. Melds, this is my pick. I love Meld. That's the end of the statement. I especially love Meld when the cards are individually just cards you would put in a deck because they're just decent. So like Phyrexian Dragon Engine is one I put in Magic the Gathering decks all the time. It's just a double striking 3-mana 2/2. Whenever it enters the battlefield from your graveyard, you may discard your hand if you do draw 3 cards. This is really good to put in a Goblin Engineer kind of artifact recursion package to like refill your hand, stuff like that. I don't know if I've ever put Mishra in a commander deck, but I have put Phyrexian Dragon Engine in multiple, right? And then you have the worlds where they collide, and it's like, I have a token artifact deck. So Mishra's really good because he likes wide boards with tokens because he's kind of like a Hell Rider. And on the other end, you like Phyrexian Dragon Engine because it fits in with the artifact theme. And then they meld together, and then you have a card that's twice as big as everyone else's card, and you feel like a 12-year-old. It's awesome. It's the mechanic in Magic the most that I feel really is just the most stupid thing. Like, this mechanic was made by a 10-year-old, and I love that.
I do love that about it. Just the scale of it, the fact that you get to have the biggest thing on board. I think for me, that is fairly evenly tempered with the fact that I don't really like the idea of having one half of a meld combo without the other. Like, I don't just want my card to have some random bullshit on the other side, right? Like, I consider it a limitation of handware battlements that it has some incomprehensible nonsense on the other side.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. Like, if I want a big, stupid creature, there's so many, and there's so many ways to hard cast or cheese into play or cast fairly, whatever you want. There's lots of big, stupid creatures. And
yeah, but they're not like actually big on the play mat.
Physically large.
I guess. I don't know. It's like, it's fine. I don't hate this mechanic. I'm now realizing we should have like asked fans for their suggestions, because then we would have mechanics that we hate. That's the problem with our tier list. Anyway, that is not here nor there. I don't know. Meld is like whatever. Like, I wouldn't mind, but I also just, I don't know. I don't really care about it. Actually, maybe I would mind. I think it's kind of sucks.
I wouldn't mind.
You wouldn't or would?
I wouldn't.
You wouldn't? Well,
I would not.
Guys, great news. Guys, great news. We wouldn't mind.
Transmute is the superior mechanic.
Yeah, so it appears.
Maybe the lesson here is it's about execution, right? Like, we wouldn't mind any mechanic coming back if it is correctly executed, right? Or is there something we just wouldn't want to see?
No, that's like a really good takeaway. Simultaneously, I really don't want Ripple to come back. Never print Ripple ever
God.
again.
How's Ripple again? It's the one on Thrumming Stone, right?
Yeah, there's one for each color in Thrumming Stone.
Thrumming Stone is a stupid ass Magic card. I don't like it.
Just let this be Thrumming Stone's thing. Like, the Thrumming Stone exists. You can Ripple all you want. You can make any card have Ripple. Like, let's never ever print Ripple ever again. Is there like an actual mechanic besides Ripple where it's just like, God, buyback?
I am sure I can find one. Yeah, buyback was one I do not think should come back.
And buyback's too powerful.
Persist Undying, easy.
Oh,
Persist Undying should come back. What do you mean? I like Persistent Undying.
They're only used in combos in EDH.
we talked about it
yeah.
in a different tier list video, but the forecast mechanic.
Oh, yeah.
The one where you like reveal it in your
Yeah, forecast
hand or
is really
whatever.
bad.
Yeah. Also, the ring tempts you. That mechanic should never come back. It's so booty.
Oh God, the ring tempts you. Yeah, initiative, dungeon. I think we have to have dungeon again in the future, sadly, just because like it sucks to just have this parasite wriggling around. You know what I mean? Like maybe like one more set of dungeon initiative cards and then just call it there. Pre-ban all the commons from Pauper.
The hell is pack tactics?
Yeah.
Pack Tactics was in the original D&D set. It was just a key ability word that was tied to attacking with creatures with power 6 or greater. It's kind of like formidable, but you have to attack.
Sure.
I think that mechanic goes fine.
Oh, Fateful Hour is pretty bad. It's funny.
Oh, yeah.
You have to have five or less life, right?
Yeah, that's not even good in 60 cards. Five is such a small number, and there wasn't even that much life pay in that block aside from like Grizzlebrand.
Oh my God. Spell Snuff. It's cancel, like straight up cancel. Blue 1, counter a spell. But if you have 5 or less life, it draws a card.
Holy fuck.
Oh
So
my
good.
God.
Yeah, this mechanic sucked. They printed a new one. Wait. Oh, from Lord of the Rings, from the scene box. Courageous Resolve. Up to one target creature you control,
It was in
gains
like,
protection. Till end of turn, draw a card. And then Fateful Hour, you can't lose this turn.
I mean, there's a lot of obsolete mechanics that shouldn't come back, like Fear.
yeah.
I mean that
those are obvious.
that one's literally in Wikipedia's page of former mechanics.
Yeah.
It has been phased out brutally.
I think Menace should stack. That's my big mechanic hot take
Honestly,
right now.
that's pretty good. I want that.
If Troll of Cause of Doom should have Menace.
2 instances of first strike should give double strike. Thoughts?
Wait, you're
Thoughts?
cooking. Hang on, that's actually really good.
What about a third instance?
Triple strike. Fuck it.
There
If
there you go.
If you have 2 instances of haste, you get the combat damage that you would have gotten last turn.
Wait, double strike could be phased out, and then all the double strike cards just have first strike, and you can just stack as many instances of first strike on cards as you want.
Oh, wait. You do like ginger brute rules. Like for each haste after the first one, it can't be blocked except by creatures with like haste because it's just too fast. You can't block it.
Double
Yeah.
haste.
Now we need different levels of flying for the different elevations you could
Yes,
theoretically fly
flying
at.
should stack. Yeah, flying should stack. Menace should stack. Reach should stack in the same way as well.
Right.
So if you have 2 instances of reach and they have 2 instances of flying, you can block. We should be designers. This is we should print the highest flying spirit has flying. It can only be blocked by creatures with 5 instances of flying.
Wait, we could have done this for exert. You can triple exert, and then it doesn't untap for like 3 turns.
Triple exert
Exert
against triple
this
flying.
3 times.
That's pretty good.
Leave your questions for next time, and we normally do a question asking moment, but you can mirror before your comment if you ask a question, and we'll get to it next time.
Yes.
Dear viewer, what mechanic do you think should stack?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.